Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't already know, early access for the Modern Warfare 3 campaign came out yesterday. And yesterday we streamed the entire campaign on the channel. And first of all, I just have to say thank you because we hit trending on gaming on YouTube. And I had only done that once during Modern Warfare 2. And the very first thing we do for Modern Warfare 3, we were right up there on trending. So I just wanted to thank you guys for that. I will have that stream linked down below if you want to check it out. It is the full entire campaign. On top of that, in my second channel, I have some straight up gameplay going up over there, split into some clips for you guys to enjoy. Again, will be linked down below. But as far as this video, what I wanted to do before we really dive into the nitty gritty later on today with an ending explained video, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. We're going to go over essentially the two main components of the campaign, the first of which being the gameplay, the second of which being the story, completely spoiler-free. Then at the end of the video, I am going to have the spoiler section because I think those need to be talked about to fully do a review. I think it's very important, but for the first majority of this video, it is spoiler free, and don't worry, I will give you a solid warning when we get to the spoiler part of things, and we will get there, don't worry. But first, I wanted to start out with one that is going to be very controversial, and that is the campaign gameplay. So this is definitely going to be the more divisive of the areas that we talk about in this video. But as far as what I've seen about the campaign is I've seen a couple of different takes. First of all, a lot of people are saying it is too short. Don't worry, we will get to that. And a lot of people are saying that either this was a really good campaign or it completely sucked. And I don't think either of those is the case, but I think there's definitely reasons why people will say that about the game. I want to talk about the open combat missions. As far as these go, they are small open world missions, if you even want to call them that, where you start out with a basic loadout, and as you go through the mission, you can pick up items, fill out your loadout, kind of complete it, and then if you play the mission again, you can use those items starting out next time. Now, as far as these missions goes, I don't even want to think of them as campaign missions. Essentially, these are Spec Ops missions. That is the easiest way to explain them, and that is what is going on. They are Spec Ops missions with extra story. These could have 100% been implemented as Spec Ops missions, but they were not. To me, these are not my cup of tea. It's not, in my opinion, what I think Call of Duty does best with their campaigns. In my opinion, Call of Duty's best missions are the ones that are almost on rails, the ones that take you through a story that you are playing through an action movie. Whereas these ones just feel like they were like, well, we like open world games, but we do linear shooters, so let's combine them and this is what we get. That is essentially Spec Ops. Now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, take one of these open world missions, and yeah, they're interesting, they're different, and if there was one of them in the campaign, I think it could have worked, but there's 5 of them, so there's a lot of them. And compare this to Clean House, for example, from Modern Warfare 2019. In these open world missions, you kind of just go in, shoot your way through a bunch of enemies, and voila, eventually the mission's over upon completing your objective. However, a mission like Clean House from Modern Warfare 2019, you go through almost on rails through this house where a story is being told, where you are playing through this action sequence that is a specific set of events that you have to play out as your character. They work very differently, and in my opinion, one is way better than the other. You may disagree with me. Let me know what you think down in the comments, but that is my opinion. Now, as far as the rest of the campaign, let's take those open combat missions out of the equation and just talk about the rest of the campaign for a second. The rest of the missions I relatively enjoyed. I thought most of them were pretty good. They put you in a bunch of different scenarios and they worked. However, there wasn't any missions that I really thought, wow, this is going to be memorable. Well, there was one, and it takes place on a plane. You probably saw it in the trailer, so there's no spoilers there. That one was pretty good, and the story behind it was really amazing. However, the rest of the missions, none of them I look back on and go like, whoa, I'm going to remember that for years. That was the best mission of this campaign or anything like that. There just wasn't anything that was spectacular. It was done well. It looked really good. I thought the campaign looked amazing. And in fact, one thing that I'm just going to gloss over is it actually ran really well for me. I had one problem with an audio desync in one specific cutscene, but other than that, I didn't really have any frame drops. It ran really well. I was recording and streaming at the same time. I do have a really nice computer. I have a 4090, but to me, it ran really well and really smooth. So that was a bonus to me. Your mileage may vary depending on your type of PC or what you were playing on, but on mine, it ran very well. So it looked good. It played well, but the problem was a lot of the missions were just simply boring. There wasn't any spectacularness. I don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean. to any of those missions. And that was kind of a bummer because that's actually the complete opposite of what I thought with Modern Warfare 2. With Modern Warfare 2, I didn't really think the story was done very well. However, it played really well. All of the missions I can look back on and went, well, that one you played in this way and it was completely different than the next one. And each one was very interesting because of that. This one just feels like you're in a shooter constantly. That's really all I can say about it. So overall, I think the weakest part of the campaign is the gameplay. But where things start to get a little bit better is the story.
Abort! Turn us around! Turn us around now!
So for this part of the story, I am going to talk in very broad strokes. We're not going to go in too much detail. We'll do that in the spoiler part of the video. And I'm only going to use cutscenes from the first, let's say, hour of the campaign. As far as the story of this game goes, I think it's a lot better than people are giving it credit for. In my opinion, it is nowhere near as good as the story in Modern Warfare 2019, but it is far better than Modern Warfare 2's story, because what they do in this game is focus a lot more on individual characters' stories and progressing the overall universe of Modern Warfare, if you will. And they do this in several different ways, which I'm not going to go too far in depth here, but there's a few different characters throughout this that change and evolve and change their motivations throughout the campaign, and I think it's done in a very clever way. On top of that, one thing that this game does maybe better than any other Call of Duty, except for maybe Black Ops 2, is fills in the blanks. This essentially takes the blanks and questions that we had about the Modern Warfare universe and answers them. It gives us backstory on Verdansk, for example, what happened on that map. It gives us more information to Philip Graves and what he was doing there, as well as General Shepard and Farah Karim. It gives us more backstory and fills in blanks. Now, a worry I have with telling a story like that is I feel like the people who will actually enjoy that type of story are only the people that really follow the Modern Warfare universe. Like if you watch my videos and go through all of the story like we do on the channel, you would get a lot of the points to these characters that no one else would. And because of that, you would enjoy this campaign a lot more. But the majority of people who are going to play this campaign aren't like that. And I feel like a lot of these people who are saying this campaign sucked, the story sucked, are people that don't dive as deep into that Modern Warfare universe as you or I might. So long story short, the thing I think they do well here is the characters. And they do a very good job of telling individual character stories again. Again, not as good as Modern Warfare 2019 with the development of Alex and Farah and the backstories of them, but it develops their motivation and explains why they do what they do in a very smart way, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed that part. And on top of that, some of the voice actors freaking killed it. Captain Price's voice actor and Makarov's voice actor, I think, nailed their roles and did an incredibly good job throughout the campaign. And there was a couple cameos in there, which I'm not going to go into right now. We will do that in the spoiler parts, that I think were done pretty well. But again, not quite as fleshed out as I would really like them to be. So to go any further with that part, let's dive in to the spoiler section of the video. Okay, I'm just going to reiterate this. This is your spoiler warning. I'm about to spoil the crap out of the campaign, and if you don't want it ruined, click off now. Seriously, I'm very serious, like about to just literally ruin the game if you haven't played it yet. All right, ready? Final warning. Soap McTavish dies at the end of Modern Warfare 3, and it happens in a way where they're defusing a bomb. All of a sudden, Makarov comes out and shoots him in the head. The problem with this scene is after it happens, Makarov just disappears into the sunset, runs away, and that is that. Nothing else happens. Now, there is a cool motivation behind this scene, and in my ending explained video, I will do a good job of explaining that to you guys. But again, for the general audience who just watches this scene happen, this is really annoying because guess what? Nothing else happens with Makarov after this scene. He just runs away, and that is that. End of the Modern Warfare 3 campaign. And the problem with that is there is absolutely no closure. And I don't think they needed necessarily more missions or anything like that. If they would have ended off the campaign in a way saying Makarov has disappeared, he's gone dark, we don't know where he is, but we know he's planning something big, that would have answered a lot of questions. If they would have said, we're chasing after Makarov and gave us one more mission where we go and chase after him, there's a final fight, he lives or dies or something happens, I think it could have worked, but they didn't. He just ran away. A train went by, and that is that. It was so strange and just no closure whatsoever. And I think a lot of people are really not going to like that. But again, there is more to that scene. We'll dive into it later today. It's not really for a review, but I just think a lot of people are going to be like, okay, what the heck was that? Now, throughout the campaign, there are several cameos from various different characters, and I'm going to have a video with all of those in one video, but probably the biggest one is Yuri. Yuri comes back from the original Modern Warfare 3, but this time not as a main character or a playable character, this time just as an asset that Kate Laswell uses. I actually liked this. I think a lot of people are like, hey, we want more Yuri, but I think they did it in a way where it's a cameo. He comes up kind of like Nikolai has done throughout the campaigns. He is once again an informant informing on Makarov, and I think it works really well. I liked his character, I like his voice acting, and I liked how he played into the game. So as I mentioned, one thing that this campaign does really well is fill in the blanks, one of them being Verdansk. We found out that Verdansk was carried out by Makarov, and the entire events on that map were his doing. On top of this, we found out more about Farah and General Shepard, that he was supplying Farah with weapons throughout the whole battle in Urzikstan. That also fills in a lot of blanks. But the problem is, take those two things, if you didn't play the other Modern Warfare campaigns, they would mean literally nothing to you. And a perfect example of that is the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene, Captain Price walks into General Shepard's office and shoots him in the face. That is it. Again, nothing else to really come of that, and really, it doesn't play into General Shepard's character. He's normally the calm, cool, and collected soldier that follows orders, does what he's told, and gets it done. This time, he goes in and just shoots General Shepard in the face, seemingly for no reason. Now, there is a reason behind it, but the only reason why I know what that is because I know the other campaigns. And I think having those details in a campaign is good, but it should also make a lot of sense if you haven't played it. Those details should make it better. It should amplify the story, not make the story altogether. Because I guarantee you, if you didn't play Modern Warfare 2, you have no idea why Captain Price shot General Shepard. And in fact, if you just played Modern Warfare 2 alone, I still feel like you won't understand it either. And that is a very, very big problem. But if you know about the game, you can fill in the blanks like we're going to do later today. All of these things come together and make sense and actually make for a pretty good story. Now, the big complaint of the game being too short, that abrupt ending that we just talked about. To me, it feels as though this campaign was almost an afterthought, as though they were just planning a DLC for this year and maybe doing it through raids or spec op missions or things like that. And these cutscenes were going to be in there and they were going to sell them, but they weren't going to put out a full campaign. Hence why the campaign comes in at around 3.5 to 4 hours, depending on how fast you go through those open combat missions. And I really feel like 1 or 2 more missions could have made this campaign feel complete. And I'm hoping that they fill in these blanks with some sort of seasonal cutscenes or raids. There's currently no information that they're doing those, but I would love to see them. But as of right now, Makarov has just run away. He's gone. And I think that's such a strange way of ending the campaign. We've never seen anything like that. I wouldn't even really call it a cliffhanger because there was no really outcome of it. He just shot someone in the face and ran away. At least in other cliffhangers like the Call of Duty Ghost one, we know someone was taken captive and we know that they are being held by that person. This one, they're gone. That's it. And no conclusion as to whether Task Force 141 is still going after him. It seems as though they are trying to set up a Modern Warfare 4, but again, that is years away. So I don't know why they ended it like that. That is really the strangest part to me. So what do I think of the campaign? What do I rate it? Is it a great campaign? Is it a horrible campaign? I don't think it's really either. As far as the story of this campaign goes, I gave it a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. I would say it's well above average and almost good for a Call of Duty campaign. But where things really aren't as good for me is the gameplay. It just gets boring. It gets stale. There's nothing fresh and exciting about it. There's no memorable moments. So that's like a 6 out of 10. And altogether, that brings us somewhere around like a 6.7 to 7 out of 10. So it's not overwhelming. It's not great, but I think the story is the thing that people are going to want to play this for. And don't worry, we are going to have lots of story videos coming. So that ending, that abrupt ending that I just talked about, we're going to explain it later on today. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. have notifications on. If you played the campaign, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. Very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. We got many more story videos coming, so stay tuned. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for